After I brought my daughter home from the hospital, I thought the worst was behind us. I was wrong. At 2 in the morning, I heard a noise outside. I looked through the window and saw my son-in-law, standing near the garage, half hidden in shadows, talking on his phone. His voice was low, but I heard every word. I already got to her break line. See you at your sister's funeral. My heart stopped, but I didn't confront him. Not yet. Instead, I followed him. I watched him. And what I discovered tore my family apart forever. He thought his plan was perfect. He had no idea I was already 3 steps ahead. Before I continue, tell me, where are you right now? What time is it? This happened to me at 2 a.m. in Lake Oswego, Oregon. Drop a comment. Let me know you're listening. Because what comes next? You won't believe it. The phone call came at 5 in the afternoon, but it felt like the middle of the night. I was in my kitchen in Lake Oswego, stirring a pot of chili I'd probably eat alone for days. 60 years old, widowed. Life had settled into routine, predictable quiet, safe. Then the phone rang. Mr. Carter. Riley Chambers, my daughter Audrey's best friend. She never called me. Her voice shook. It's Audrey. She collapsed at work. They're taking her to OHSU. You need to come now. The spoon clattered into the sink. I grabbed my keys. What happened? I don't know. She just went down. The ambulance is here. Please hurry. I don't remember the drive. 15 minutes from Lake Oswego to downtown Portland, and it vanished in panic. My thoughts kept circling Virginia, my wife. 3 years ago, she'd been fine at breakfast. By noon, she was gone. An aneurysm, no warning. Now Audrey. I'd seen her last Sunday. She'd looked tired, dark circles under her eyes. I asked if she was okay. She smiled and said, work was busy. Maxwell, her husband, nodded along. I should have pushed harder. The OHSU parking garage was chaos. I abandoned my car and ran. Inside the emergency department, fluorescent lights buzzed over antiseptic air in controlled panic. Riley stood near intake mascara smudged. She grabbed my arm. They took her straight to surgery. Internal bleeding. The words didn't make sense. But she's healthy. What could? I don't know. She just collapsed. I rode with her. A gurney rushed past. Blonde hair, pale face, IV line. Audrey, I lunged forward. A nurse stopped me. Sir, please. The double doors closed. Gone. Just like Virginia. Riley touched my shoulder. Maybe we should... That's when I saw him. Maxwell. Standing by the vending machine, phone to his ear. Smiling. Not a tight smile. Not forced. A real one. Relaxed shoulders. A quiet laugh. His wife was in surgery, and he was smiling. I froze. He hadn't seen us yet. Half turned away, absorbed in the call. Something cold settled in my chest. Riley whispered, Is that Maxwell? He heard his name and turned. The smile vanished, instantly replaced by concern so perfectly arranged it was almost impressive. He ended the call and hurried over. Jacob. He gripped my shoulder. Riley texted me. What happened? Is Audrey okay? Wide eyes, tight voice, the perfect worried husband. But I'd seen him 30 seconds earlier. They took her to surgery, I said. Internal bleeding. Oh my God. He ran a hand through his hair. I was in a meeting downtown, got here as fast as I could. Perfect suit, perfect timing, perfect concern. I nodded, said nothing, watched him. I have 2 daughters. Audrey, 32, my oldest. A financial analyst at Morrison Financial. Hard-working. Kind. Married Maxwell 2 years ago. We talk every week. Sunday dinners. She's the one who still calls just to check in. Then there's Autumn. 28. Marketing manager. Distant. After her mother died, something in her hardened. She pulled away. Blamed me, I think, for not saving Virginia. But standing in that hospital corridor, staring at Maxwell's carefully rehearsed face, I wasn't thinking about Autumn. I was thinking about that smile. The wrong smile. The kind you don't forget. I didn't know what it meant. I couldn't explain it. There was no proof, no logic, no accusation I could make. But I knew. Something was wrong. Something was very, very wrong. They say hope and fear feel the same until you know the outcome. I was about to learn the difference. The wait outside the operating room felt endless. 2 hours of fluorescent lights and distant alarms. Maxwell sat across from us, phone in his hands. He'd typed glance at the surgical doors, then back to the screen. When Riley had explained what happened, he'd nodded but never looked at me. His eyes kept sliding away. Riley shifted her chair, angling away from him. She'd noticed, too. At 7 o'clock, the surgical doors opened. Dr. Samuel Turner stepped out, pulling off his cap. The surgery was successful. She's stable. We stopped the internal bleeding. Relief nearly knocked me down. Thank God, Riley breathed. Maxwell stood. Can we see her? Dr. Turner held up a hand. There's something else. He turned to me. Mr. Carter, your daughter was pregnant. About 5 to 6 weeks. Unfortunately, she lost the baby. I'm very sorry. The words hung there. Pregnant. She didn't tell me. It was very early. She may not have known yet. Maxwell's face went white. She never said anything. For the first time, his reaction looked real. Dr. Turner led us to recovery. Audrey looked small in the hospital bed, fragile. Her eyes opened when she heard us. Saw me. Started crying. I took her hand. I'm here, sweetheart. Dad. Barely a whisper. The baby. I was going to surprise Maxwell next week, and now you're alive. That's what matters. Maxwell moved closer. Why didn't you tell me? I wanted it to be special. She looked at me, eyes suddenly sharp. Dad? Something happened before I collapsed. I need to tell you. Audrey, don't strain yourself. Maxwell cut in. You need rest. She looked at him, then back at me. Fear, clear as day in her eyes. What is it, honey? She shook her head slightly. Nothing, just tired. But her eyes darted to Maxwell, then back, pleading. Whatever she wanted to tell me, she couldn't. Not with him there. Maxwell stayed close hand on the bed rail, possessive, or controlling. We should let her rest, he said to me. She's been through enough. I wanted to argue. But she was exhausted machines beeping steadily. I'll be back tomorrow, I told her, squeezing her hand. She squeezed back. Once, twice, 3 times. Our old signal. I love you. I squeezed 4 times. I love you more. Riley touched my arm. Mr. Carter, maybe we should step out. Let them have a moment. I didn't want to leave, but medication was already pulling Audrey under. In the hallway, Riley spoke quietly. Mr. Carter, before Audrey collapsed, something happened at work. She glanced back. Maybe we should talk somewhere private. My phone buzzed. Text from Maxwell. Taking Audrey home when discharged. She needs her husband. I stared at the message. The smile yesterday, the phone checking, the fear in Audrey's eyes. Now he wanted to take her home, away from me. I looked back at the recovery room door. Whatever Audrey had tried to tell me, whatever had made her collapse, whatever put that fear in her eyes, Maxwell was at the center of it. I didn't know how yet, didn't know why. But standing in that hospital hallway, reading that text, I knew one thing for certain. I wasn't letting him take my daughter anywhere, not until I knew the truth. Some secrets reveal themselves slowly. Others hit you like a freight train. 2 days passed in a blur of hospital routines and hollow reassurances. I barely left Audrey's side, going home only to shower. She was stable, but weak. Maxwell was always there, always watching. Too calm, too present. Wednesday afternoon he finally left. Business to handle, he said. The moment he was gone, Riley appeared with a large tote bag and a look that told me everything was about to change. Is Maxwell gone? She asked, glancing around. Yes. What's wrong? She closed the door. Mr. Carter. Monday morning, before Audrey collapsed, a courier delivered an envelope. I saw her open it. Her face went white. Then she dropped. What was in it? I grabbed it before the paramedics arrived. I've been keeping it safe. Her hand shook as she pulled out a manila envelope. Inside were photographs, 8 or 9, and a letter. The first photo showed Autumn, my younger daughter, sitting with a man at an upscale restaurant. They leaned close, intimate. Next, outside a hotel, kissing. Another inside a car, hands intertwined. The man's face was obscured in most shots, deliberate angles, but details stood out. A tailored suit, dark hair, and in one photo, his hand resting on the table. A watch, expensive, distinctive. I set the photos down and unfolded the letter. Typed. No signature. Your perfect life isn't so perfect. Your sister and someone very close to you have been enjoying themselves. Quit your job at Morrison Financial within 4 days, or these photos go public. There's more, Riley said quietly. Yesterday, Autumn was appointed to Audrey's position. They replaced her while she's here. Audrey stirred. Her eyes were open. I already quit Dad, she whispered. Tuesday morning. I couldn't risk everyone seeing those photos. Who would do this, I asked. Who took them? Someone who wanted Audrey out, Riley said, and knew exactly how to force it. I studied the photos again. The restaurant, the hotel, the man's hand. The watch. Omega Seamaster. Steel and gold. Blue face. I'd seen it before. Christmas dinner. Last year. Maxwell rolling up his sleeve. Early bonus. Raymond. 20 grand. $20,000. Steel and gold. Blue face. I looked at Riley, then at Audrey. I know that watch, I said slowly. I've seen it dozens of times. Audrey's eyes widened. Dad, no. It wasn't just Autumn in those photos, I said. It was Autumn and Maxwell. Riley covered her mouth. Audrey stared at the pictures, tears spilling. My husband and my sister. They've been having an affair, I said, and they used it to blackmail you, to destroy your career so Autumn could take your place. Why, Audrey's voice broke. Why would they do this? I didn't know yet, but looking at the photos at Maxwell's watch, at Autumn's careful smile, I knew this wasn't impulsive. It was planned. The letter had said someone very close to you. They'd been taunting her. I thought about Maxwell smiling at his phone while Audrey was in surgery. I'd felt something was wrong. Now I knew he'd been talking to Autumn, planning, celebrating. If they'd gone this far, ruining Audrey's career, her trust, her safety, what else were they capable of? I pulled out my phone and began photographing everything. Each image, the letter, every detail. What are you doing? Riley asked. Documenting evidence, I said. If they want to play games, so can I. Audrey watched me. The fear was still there, but something else had appeared. Anger. Dad, she said softly, what are we going to do? I looked at her, my strong, brilliant daughter, betrayed by the two people who should have protected her. We're going to find out exactly what they're planning, I said, and then we're going to stop them. I didn't know how yet, but I would, whatever it took. When you suspect betrayal, every gesture becomes evidence, every word a potential lie. From that moment, I couldn't unsee it. Every interaction with Maxwell became a study in deception. I stayed at the hospital that night and the next, watching Waiting. Wednesday night, I told Audrey I'd stay over. Dad, you should go home. I'm not leaving you. Around 10, Maxwell returned. Said he'd grabbed dinner. I pretended to doze, watching through half-closed eyes. He sat beside Audrey, held her hand, looked concerned, but his phone was in his other hand. Message, smile, type, another message, another smile. When Audrey fell asleep, he stepped into the hallway. I followed. Near the elevators, phone to ear. I couldn't hear words, but his tone relaxed. Happy. He saw me. Smile vanished. Can't sleep. Just work. Pocketed phone. You should go home, Jacob. I'm good. Jaw tightened. Thursday morning, he left early. Meetings. Thursday evening, I returned from cafeteria. Maxwell was there, Audrey asleep, him on phone. I stayed in doorway. His voice low. Everything's going according to plan. Few more days. She won't be a problem much longer. She won't be a problem. He turned, saw me, went pale. Didn't hear you. Getting coffee? I held up cup. Everything okay. Worked a difficult client. At 7. Corporate world never sleeps. I nodded. Silence stretched. He looked away first. That night I decided. Couldn't keep Audrey here with Maxwell circling. Maxwell Audrey should stay with me when discharged. She needs quiet to recover. Cold flicker across his face. I am her family. Lake Oswego is peaceful. You're busy with work. Silence. Calculating. Fine, if that's what she wants. Too easy. You're okay with that? Whatever's best. Grab jacket. Big day tomorrow. Left, no kiss goodbye, no looking back. I sat there thinking about that call. She won't be a problem much longer. And his easy agreement. He wanted her away from hospital, away from witnesses. But why? Affair made sense. Ambition, lust, greed. This felt darker. She won't be a problem. People didn't talk like that about someone they loved. They talked like that about someone they wanted gone. I looked at Audrey, sleeping unaware. Maxwell agreed too quickly. That terrified me. He wanted her out of sight for a reason. I thought about Virginia. Fine one day, gone the next. Sudden. No one saw it coming. The doctors said aneurysm. But what if... No, that was paranoia. Wasn't it? I pulled out my phone, looked at photos of Maxwell and Autumn together. They'd destroyed Audrey's career, humiliated her, taken everything. What else were they capable of? She won't be a problem much longer. I forwarded photos to my email, to Riley, to my lawyer, Ben Clark. If something happened, someone needed to know. Then I opened my contacts, found a name I hadn't called in years. Tom Henderson, mechanic, old friend, someone I trusted. I'd need him soon. Had a feeling about that. I settled back, watching the door, watching Audrey sleep. Maxwell thought he'd won. Thought he'd gotten me to take Audrey without suspicion. He didn't know I'd heard him. Didn't know I was watching. And he sure as hell didn't know I'd do whatever it took. Whatever he was planning, he'd go through me first. I just had to figure out what that plan was. And I had maybe days to do it. Friday morning, Audrey was cleared for discharge. I brought her home to Lake Oswego. Maxwell texted, "Let me know if she needs anything." Polite, distant. I didn't respond. Because by Friday evening, I'd know exactly what he was planning. And it would be worse than I ever imagined. I'm an early riser. Always have been. That Friday morning, I woke at 5:30, and that decision saved my daughter's life. She needed rest. She needed safety. Maxwell had texted the night before saying he'd taken a room at a nearby hotel, the Lakeview Inn, 2 miles away. He said he wanted to give Audrey space to heal while staying close if she needed help. At the time, I thought it was considerate. Now standing in my kitchen at 5:30 on a cold October morning, I knew better. I made coffee the way I always do. 2 scoops filtered water. The old Mr. Coffee machine Virginia bought 20 years ago. The house was silent. Audrey slept upstairs in her old bedroom, the same room she'd had as a teenager. I'd checked on her twice during the night. She was pale but breathing steadily. I carried my mug to the front window and looked at the driveway. That's when I saw him. Maxwell's black Audi sat across the street, engine idling, exhaust curling into the cold air. He was in the driver's seat, phone pressed to his ear. My first thought was that he'd come to check on Audrey. My second was, why is he out here and not inside? I set the mug down and stepped quietly onto the porch. The air bit my lungs. I stayed in the shadows near the door, 15 feet from his car. He didn't see me. His voice carried across the quiet street. I'm telling you, it's perfect, Maxwell said cheerfully. She's at her dad's place. In a few days, she'll drive herself home. I'll offer to check the car first, make sure everything's running smoothly. Oh, a pause. No, she won't suspect anything. She trusts me. Another pause, then a low laugh. Autumn, relax. The brake line's easy. 1 clean cut near the master cylinder. She won't notice until she's halfway down Highway 43. Those curves by George Rogers Park. My blood went cold. She'll lose control. It'll look like an accident. I grabbed the railing as my knees buckled. The insurance payout is $300,000, he continued, plus her 401k. We split it, disappear, then come back as the grieving widower and supportive sister. Another pause. His voice hardened. She's already weak. This is the window. If we wait, she'll ask questions and find out about us. My hands shook as I fumbled for my phone and hit record just as he said, 2 days. 3 at most. Then it's done. Audrey will be gone. I recorded 30 seconds. Maxwell laughed lightly and ended the call. The Audi pulled away toward the inn. I stood there, phone recording, silence, breath jagged. Upstairs, Audrey slept. In the garage, her silver Honda Civic waited a trap he planned to arm within 48 hours. I went inside, sat at the kitchen table, and replayed the recording twice. Then I texted Attorney Benjamin Clark urgent. Evidence of attempted murder. Maxwell made one fatal mistake. He underestimated the man who always wakes up early. I sat there listening to the hum of the refrigerator, knowing the day ahead would change everything, but also knowing one simple habit, rising early, had turned fear into proof and given my daughter a chance to live. That was something no amount of money could ever buy. Fear can paralyze you, or it can sharpen your mind. I chose the latter. The moment Maxwell's car disappeared around the corner, I moved. I had maybe 6 hours before he returned. 6 hours to save my daughter's life. At 6:20, I called Attorney Benjamin Clark. My hands shook as I dialed. Ben has been my friend for 30 years, a sharp legal mind, and someone I trust completely. Jacob, he said, groggy, it's 6 in the morning. Ben, I need you. Life or death. It's Audrey. He was awake instantly. I'm listening. I played the recording, Maxwell's calm voice describing how he would cut the brake line and kill my daughter on Highway 43. Silence. Jesus, Jacob Ben said. That's conspiracy to commit murder. But we need more. A defense attorney could argue it was just talk. We need witnesses. We need to catch him. What do I do? First, fix the brakes. Eliminate any risk. Second, call Detective Christopher Kane at Portland PD. I know him. Third, set a trap. At 6:35, I called Tom Henderson. Tom is a mechanic, a neighbor, a friend. He lives 10 minutes away. Tom, I need you here now. Emergency. I'm on my way. By 6:50, Tom was in my driveway, toolbox in hand. I took him to the garage and pointed to Audrey's silver Honda Civic. The brake line's been cut. Fix it perfectly. 2 hours. Tom went pale but nodded. Say no more. At 7, I called Portland PD and asked for Detective Kane. Kane here. My name is Jacob Carter. Ben Clark told me to call. My son-in-law is planning to murder my daughter. I have audio proof. I'm listening, he said. I explained everything and played the recording. I'll be there in 30 minutes, Kane said. Don't confront him. By 7:30, Kane and Officer Michael Brady were in my living room. Audrey slept upstairs. They inspected the garage and listened again. We can arrest him now, Kane said, but catching him in the act will guarantee conviction. Here's the plan. Tom would finish repairs by 9. Officer Brady would install a hidden camera in the garage. Kane and Brady would monitor the feed from my study. I would text Maxwell and invite him back. When he checked the car and realized the brakes were fixed, he would panic and expose himself. I would confront him. The officers would step in. By 9, Tom finished. Brakes are better than new, he said. I paid him. He gripped my shoulder. Be careful. At 9:30, everything was ready. Camera recording. Officers positioned. I checked on Audrey. She was still resting safe. At 10, I texted Maxwell Audrey's feeling better. Want to stop by around 2. His reply came instantly. Sounds great. See you then. Kane read the message and nodded. He's walking into it. 4 more hours. 4 hours until my son-in-law stepped into the trap he built himself. I sat in the quiet house listening to the clock tick every second heavy. Fear was still there, but it no longer controlled me. It sharpened every thought, every decision. The plan was set. The evidence secured, the police ready. All that remained was patience. I would wait, watch, and protect my daughter until the moment came. When Maxwell returned, he would not be saving anyone. He would be ending his own freedom. The hours crawled by like days. Every minute felt like a millennium. By 10 o'clock, the house had become a trap. The camera was hidden. The police were in position. The brakes were fixed. Everything was ready. Now we waited. At 10:30, I brought breakfast upstairs to Audrey. She was pale but awake, propped against the pillows in her old bedroom. Dad, you don't have to do all this. Rest, sweetheart. Maxwell's coming by at 2. Her face tightened. I don't know if I'm ready to see him. It'll be quick, just a short visit. I gave her the medication Dr. Turner had prescribed. Within 20 minutes, she was drowsy, drifting off. I was relieved. Better she stayed upstairs, unaware. From 11 until 2, the tension wound tighter. I sat in the living room, pretending to read the newspaper. The words blurred. I couldn't focus. Detective Kane and Officer Brady remained in my study, watching the monitor feed from the garage. Silent, professional. I made sandwiches. Nobody ate them. I checked the time every few minutes. My mind spiraled. What if he doesn't go into the garage? What if he suspects something? What if Audrey wakes up and comes downstairs? Kane stepped out, once put a hand on my shoulder. You're doing great, Jacob. Stay calm. At 1:45, my phone buzzed. Text from Maxwell. Running a few minutes late. Be there at 2:15. I showed Kane. It's fine, he said. He'll come. At 2:10, a car pulled up outside. I looked through the window. Maxwell's black Audi. My heart hammered. Maxwell walked up to the door, rang the bell. I took a deep breath, opened it. He stood there with flowers in his hand, smiling. Hey, Jacob. Brought these for Audrey. How's she doing? She's resting upstairs. Come in. We sat in the living room. I offered coffee. He declined. Maxwell kept glancing around nervously. Did he sense something? How's her recovery going? Slow, but she's getting there. Silence. Maxwell shifted in his seat. Is her car here? I was thinking I'd take it in for a tune-up. Make sure it's safe when she's ready to drive again. My throat tightened, but I kept my voice steady. It's in the garage. I can show you. Actually, I can just take a quick look myself. I know a bit about cars. Sure, door's unlocked. Maxwell stood and walked toward the kitchen, toward the garage door. I stayed in the living room, watching from the doorway. On the monitor in my study, Kane and Brady leaned forward. The camera captured everything. Maxwell entering the garage, glancing around nervously. Approaching Audrey's silver Honda Civic, kneeling down, lying on his back, sliding under the front end. His hand reaching toward the brake assembly, then freezing. He crawled out, fast stood up, face drained of color. Kane's voice came through the doorway, barely a whisper. He knows. The brakes are fixed. On the monitor, I watched Maxwell's expression shift from pale shock to confusion to panic. He looked around the garage like a trapped animal. I took a deep breath. Detective Kane nodded from the study doorway. I took a deep breath and walked toward the garage, toward my son-in-law, toward the truth. Behind me, I heard the soft click of Detective Kane's hand resting on his holster. We were ready. There are conversations that change everything. This was one of them. I walked down the 3 steps into the garage. My footsteps echoed against the concrete. Maxwell turned, his hands dirty from being under the car. Our eyes locked. Looking for something, Maxwell. He flinched, then wiped his hands on his pants. Oh, Jacob. I was just checking the brakes. Audrey mentioned they felt a little soft last week. I stepped closer, never breaking eye contact. That's interesting, because the brakes are in perfect condition. He forced a laugh. Well, that's good then. Maybe she imagined. Or maybe someone cut the brake line, I said calmly, and then someone else fixed it. The color drained from his face. What? I don't know what you're talking about. I pulled out my phone, unlocked it, and held it up. I'm talking about this. I pressed play. Maxwell's recorded voice filled the garage, calm and chilling. The brake line's easy. One clean cut near the master cylinder. Those curves by George Rogers Park. She'll lose control. It'll look like an accident. The recording ended. Maxwell's face cycled through shock, fear, and then rage. You recorded me? He shouted. You were spying on me? I was protecting my daughter, I said. Something you never did. He stepped forward aggressively. You set me up. That's entrapment. This won't hold up. It's not entrapment when the brake line was actually cut, I replied. The mechanic found it. Clean. Exactly where you said. He stopped arguing and recalculated. It wasn't my idea, he said quickly. Autumn manipulated me. She promised we'd have everything. I was weak, but I would never actually go through with it. You cut the brake line at 2 a.m, I said. You checked it again today. You described exactly how my daughter would die. That's commitment. Something dark settled into his eyes. You should have stayed out of this, he said quietly. You should have minded your own business. She is my business, I said. She's my daughter. He stepped closer, invading my space. She was your daughter. Now you're just another problem. He raised his hand. Is that a threat, I asked. Not a threat, he snapped. A promise. You ruined everything. He shoved me hard. I stumbled backward toward the steps and grabbed the handrail just in time. Maxwell, stop. He shoved again, wild-eyed. The plan was perfect. And you, your early mornings and detective nonsense? He raised both hands, ready to shove me down the stairs. Then, freeze police hands where I can see them. The side door burst open. Detective Christopher Kane and Officer Michael Brady rushed in, weapons drawn. Step away from him, Brady shouted. Maxwell froze. Kane advanced steadily. Maxwell Reed Kane said you're under arrest for conspiracy to commit murder, attempted murder, and assault. You have the right to remain silent. Brady grabbed Maxwell's arms and spun him around. The metallic click of handcuffs echoed through the garage. Maxwell struggled weakly. Wait, this is a misunderstanding. Kane read him his rights as Maxwell's legs buckled. He started crying. It was Autumn. She planned it. She seduced me. I'm a victim, too. I stood there, rubbing my chest, breathing hard but upright. Save it for the judge, I said. Kane nodded to Brady. Take him downtown. They led Maxwell out toward the patrol car. He looked back at me one last time. I loved her. I loved Audrey. I met his gaze cold and final. If that's love, I'm glad she escaped you. The garage went quiet. I leaned against the workbench as the adrenaline drained away. Kane returned and put a hand on my shoulder. You did great, Jacob. The recording your testimony and what we saw, he's going away. What about Autumn, I asked. Already in motion, Kane said. She'll be in custody tonight. I looked up toward the ceiling where Audrey slept safely above us. One down, one to go. My daughter was safe. That was enough. They say justice is blind, but sometimes it sees everything. By nightfall, Autumn was in custody. 6 weeks later, she and Maxwell stood before the court. But the road there was long and painful. Detective Kane's team found Autumn in her Pearl District apartment that Friday evening just after 6. She was packing suitcase open clothes scattered. When she heard the knock, she grabbed her phone and started deleting messages. Too late. Police recovered everything, months of texts. Plans, insurance discussions, and blackmail schemes. Messages like, when she's gone, we split everything and make it look natural. Autumn didn't resist arrest. She didn't cry, she just stared at the wall. Over the next 6 weeks, the case solidified. My recording became the cornerstone Maxwell's own voice, calmly planning Audrey's death on Highway 43. Forensics confirmed the brake line had been cut professionally, exactly as described. Metadata, from messages and photos, proved Autumn orchestrated the blackmail that forced Audrey out of her job. The motive was clear. Audrey's life insurance, $500,000. Her savings, $45,000 more. The trial began on a gray Monday in early November at Multnomah County Courthouse. Audrey and I sat in the front row every day. She was stronger now, healed physically, but the betrayal weighed on her. When the recording played in court, the room fell silent. Maxwell's voice echoed detached, calculating. Autumn stared ahead expressionless, no remorse. Maxwell tried to appear sorry, dabbing his eyes. It rang hollow. On the stand, he blamed Autumn. The prosecutor dismantled it quickly. You were manipulated into cutting brake lines at 2 a.m. Maxwell had no answer. Autumn's testimony was worse. Calm and composed, she blamed Maxwell. She looked at Audrey once and said, You always had everything. I wanted it once. Audrey looked away. When I testified, I told the truth. How I woke early, heard Maxwell plotting murder like a grocery list recorded. It called a lawyer, a mechanic, the police. I chose the law, I said, because that's what my wife would have wanted. Justice, not revenge. Judge Patricia Morrison didn't hesitate. Your actions nearly took an innocent life, she said. Justice demands accountability. Maxwell Reed, 20 years. Autumn Carter, 12 years. As they were led away, Autumn looked at me. I held her gaze until she looked down. Good. 2 months later, winter settled over Portland. Audrey and I walked through Washington Park on a clear December morning. Bare trees, bright, sun-cold clean air. She wore her mother's blue scarf. We drank coffee by the pond, watching ducks ripple the water. How did you know? Audrey asked. To keep watching him. Because I am your father, I said. And a father never stops protecting his child. Her eyes filled. If you hadn't woken up early? But I did, and you're here. We sat quietly. I wish Mom were here, she said. She is, I replied. I see her in you. Then Audrey asked softly, Do you think I'll trust again? I pulled her close, heel first. The right person will come. As we walked back, she hugged me tight. Thank you for saving me. You saved yourself, I said. I just made sure justice was served. Autumn and Maxwell were gone, now paying for their crimes. But we were still here, still standing, still moving forward, and that was enough. Looking back on everything that happened, I see now how close I came to losing her. Not just to Maxwell's plan, but to my own silence. If I'd ignored that voice in my head, the one that said something's wrong, Audrey wouldn't be here today. Don't be like me. Don't wait until it's almost too late. If you see something wrong, speak up. If someone you love is in danger, act. God gave us instincts for a reason. He put me in that kitchen at 5:30 in the morning. He made sure I heard that phone call, and he gave me the courage to choose justice over revenge. The lesson I learned: trust God's timing, but don't ignore his warnings. When my wife Virginia was still alive, she used to say, God doesn't always stop the storm, but he'll walk you through it. She was right. He didn't stop Maxwell and Autumn, but he gave me the tools to save my daughter. This is my story, a true story. One of those grandpa stories you might not believe if you heard it secondhand, but every word is real. And if sharing this true story helps even one person recognize the dangers someone they love is in, then it was worth telling. I've heard a lot of grandpa stories over the years, some funny, some sad, but this one taught me that grandpa stories aren't just tales from the past. They're warnings, lessons, true story moments that can save lives if we pay attention. So here's my question for you. Have you ever had that gut feeling that something was wrong? Did you act on it? Share your true story in the comments below. And if this moved, you please subscribe to the channel and share it with someone who needs to hear it. You never know whose life you might save. God bless you all. Jacob Carter.